Yeah. Welcome. Who doesn't love that ending, right? That was the end title to the Rocketeer, the iconic score by James Horner, to the, of course, the action adventure from 1991, I think. Let me double check that. 1991, yes, the Rocketeer. I love that film. I think many of you do, right? Iconic music. And James Horner, as we all know, also loved flying. So we have to thank him for the legacy of his amazing work he left behind. And thanks to Chris Siddall in the UK, now you can actually get the score to take a look at all those notes James put down for this amazing score. This is great to study, and like Omni Music Publishing, also Chris Siddall does amazing work doing meticulous notations and cleanups, and everything looks fantastic. The paper is really good. 390 pages of studying that score with all the cues, including the big band numbers, by the way, for you jazz fans. Billy May, the legendary arranger, did all the dance band arrangements you can hear in the movie, and you can actually see they're in here as well. So you can study the voicings of the saxophones, trombones, and some of those old songs he's done. So, but we got to focus on the score. And I picked a different library. It's not new, but it was revamped 2.0. This is the Spitfire Symphony Orchestra library, which came out around 2017, was the flagship at that point after Sable, which they had different modules, and they put it all together, and you could get the Spitfire Symphony brass and strings in separate packages. Quite expensive. I think each package was like $500-$600. So now they let it sit, and as you know, a lot of stuff has changed. They came out with the BBC Symphony, the Abbey Road. Other libraries came in with amazing sampling, new scripting, and things like that. So Spitfire decided to give this library another shot and do a updated version, as I call it, 2.0. And a couple of things have changed. It still runs in Contact, which is great. So if you're a Contact user and you love the way it works, that's for you, right? And also it made life a little easier for a couple of things. I'm going to show you what has changed. So for this big score, which is traditional orchestra in general, there's not too many, fancy, abstract, bizarre instruments in there. So it's more standard orchestra. As you can see, the standard woodwinds with an English horn, bass clarinet, contrabassoon. We got the horns. We got 6 horns. We got the trumpets, trombones, bass trombones. We got 2 tubas. I cheated on that. I didn't want to load another tuba track. I was lazy, so I just did 1 tuba. Sounds good enough. Anyway, we got percussion, timpani, glockenspiel, all that, down to the harp. There's 2 harp patches. They include, one is a pre-programmed glissando harp, pre-recorded, I have to say, and the other one you can make your own glissandi and things like that, and also do the pedal changes, which is great. I gotta show you this also. A piano came with it, so it's also recorded on the Air Lyndhurst stage. If you don't know the stage, amazing room, right? Big scores have been recorded there. Gladiator, Harry Potter, all those films. So it sounds amazing there. A lot of composers love going there beside Abbey Road, but Air Lyndhurst is your place. And then we have a string section. Now, what's new in this library is they combined the legato with a couple other articulation and made a performance patch. And you've seen those with other libraries. And for instance, what I loaded here, I made this my habit. I loaded the Violin 1 performance patch plus the rest of the articulations, right? So that's why it says Violin 1 performance, all same for Violin 2, viola, cello, basses, right? For instance, and the trumpet sounds great. So let me go over there to the trumpet. I made a rack for all the sections, woodwind, brass, percussion, and strings. So what I do, I load everything into Contact, and I save this as a multi, so I can actually later use it in different, Cubase sessions as a multi within Contact. Here you can see my patches, and if I go to the trumpet solo, the total performance, now you have this little, meter section here with the different articulations. If you play the trumpet, so So you can see immediately where you are. So if I play legato, it's going to be on this side with a slur or without the slur, and on the short notes over here, right? Right, so this saves you actually some time because in the old days, you had another track, a VST loaded with the trumpet, maybe short notes, right? Or one just with the accent. And you had to then switch around and record, or move notes to the other lane. Now you can have all this, the basic articulations, I would say, in this one lane. What if you need the other articulations? What if you need, some special triple tonguing and things like that? That's why Spitfire gives you the trumpet all techniques patch. Let's open that one. Now, as you can see down here, we've got those 30 additional articulations, rip fall, long flutter, trills, staccatos, muted staccatos. So here you can actually now pick specifically notes you need. And I've done this actually at the very end because there's some triple tonguing and some very short notes, and I wanted a little more control. Also, you can control the tightness on every time you can turn them on and off depending on your RAM, what you have. This load like 1 GB of RAM, right? You have, vibrato control, everything else you always had, but you have this new performance patch. And also, but what I like a lot, you have a switch between the mutes. So here's with the mute, without. So you can run this with a CC control, toggle on and off. Also, the vibrato, you can run with a CC, and you can see on the side, we got the multi. We got no vibrato, and we got flutter. So you don't need to switch around tracks or do key switching. You can actually do this with your CC controls very fast and lay down a solo part. So I know some of you have templates with like hundreds of tracks, and that's all valid. I use that too, depends on the project. But I thought let's try this with a bare bones, right? So only the ones, and if I go down, so it's 47 tracks for a symphony. And we can double up some instruments for the trombones. I cheated. Maybe I used the solo trombone and have the three guys playing here. So if you really want to be precise, you could split those up, the solo trombone into three trombones and then work with that, right? But I didn't want to go that far. So let's play this piece, which is the end title. I started when it gets a little more quiet. If you want to read along in the score, if you own this score, so if you own the Rocketeer, go to the end title 14M1, and you want to look at in the middle of the cue at page 367. It's this when it says slower, measure 87. That's where we're gonna roll it all the way through the love theme, through the big heroic Rocketeer theme, and then to the more traditional, old-fashioned ending, which I love a lot. So this showcases legato, some short notes, and of course the orchestral blend. And I want to hear how I didn't do much to the reverb. This is out of the box. I only opened two mic positions, and that's the ambient mic. Let me show this to you. So if I go down to the mics, the solo trumpet only has three. I don't know why, but if I go further down to this one, you can see there's the close mics, the tree mic, the ambient, and the outer rig. And so I turned off the outer ones and the close mics and just opened up the tree and the ambient mic, which I think sounded great. And I've done this on all the instruments, okay? So some of the instruments are loaded as individual tracks up here, the celeste, the glockenspiel, that's easy to handle. But I loved my strings and also my brass and woodwinds, again, in my multi-contact, right, which is just easier to control. And also, it comes out of one output now, and I added a tiny bit of, compression on the top, just a little bit. But you can send this, as you know, in contact to individual outputs, so you have way more control. So you can either do tracks up here, like the BBC Symphony does, right, with their template, or you can do your multi-contacts and just do it internally within contact, whatever you want to do. Everything works. So let's listen to this wonderful cue and let me know what you think. And we're going to play some individual sections after this. right, so let's go through some of the sections, right? Let's listen to the woodwinds here at the Rocketeer theme. So the bassoons have a counter line, the woodwinds and the higher woodwinds, piccolo and flutes, clarinets are playing staccatos, and let's see how this sounds. It's pretty nice, right? And they have round robin up to 8 times on some of those staccatos. So that's great. I love the woodwind section. There's some extra beautiful soloing too. Let's check out the brass. Maybe at the same spot. The trumpets here play. We have the solo trumpet, and I had 3 trumpets playing. So I did the 2 trumpets A2, I do it, and the solo trumpet playing here. And here is the Rocketeer theme with the brass only. So not bad, right? There is, I think, of course, some of the staccatos you can go in, and I know some other libraries, even the BBC, there might be a little more control, and you can tweak all of this. But in general, I think as a blend, it's really nice. Percussion sounds very solid. Let's listen to the ending, which gives us some timpani soloing and things like that. Actually, James Horner added a tambourine only for the very end, so that's interesting. I don't know why, but maybe you love that tambourine sound at the end. It blends really nice actually in the orchestration. So, um, the harp is interesting because, as I said before, you can run your harp pedals. Let me open the 2 harp patches. So this is the harp patch with the pedals, and you can assign those to your controller of your choice. So I run all those pedals here. As you know, there are 7 pedals, right? You have D, C, B, E, F, G, A. And I run them from CC 40, 41, all the way to CC 46. So, we got a middle, we got, neutral, and we got the sharp and the flat position. And so let's solo this harp, mute the brass. So if you so now we're all flat out, right? And if we run this, now we get the next command. Here we go, right? Now we're in a different, right? So you can actually do the pedal changes. Of course, be careful. The computer can do it very much faster than a real harp player. So there is a moment in the score, especially at the end, when there's 2 glissandi happening, and actually there's like a chord change, and the computer, of course, can do it right very quickly. But in real life, you need 2 harps, and of course, James Horner had 2 harps in his orchestra doing that. But the glissandi you can just do by hitting the white keys and right. So I mean, a very nice sounding harp, and there's a piano, which is the stage piano, but again, it's in the hall. So it's more like a piano you use for film scoring that is embedded in the orchestra. So it's not a solo piano, but you can use, of course, any piano if you want. But I want to hear the Spitfire piano because they include it. So why not, right? Give it a chance. So the strings have beautiful moments. There's, of course, the usual legato in the violins. The only thing for me as a violinist, I'm always very careful with the vibrato because nobody in the orchestra would constantly do the heavy vibrato. First of all, you don't blend with the others, and then the chances of being out of tune are higher. And there are moments, yes, when everybody in the string section hits on something and we are more into it, but you never get that. Let me open this up. Yeah, this multi vibrato thing. Oops, I lost it. Here it is. Don't move this. Yeah, this is contact. Got to be careful. So here's my vibrato. Here's the slider. I think in the middle sounds more natural to me. Instead of having that super intense vibrato, which I think destroys for me most of the time destroys the mood. But you can control this also with the slider with the CC. You can also here do. And you can see the velocity. If you're really soft, you get that slide, which makes sense because when you play loud as a string player, you don't do the portamento. There's no need. You're in the moment. You play. There's forte, there's excitement going. If you play the Don Juan Strauss, right? So yeah. So only on the quiet side you hear that little slide. Otherwise, some libraries overdo that. Portamento drives me crazy. So here's a section with the strings. Let's listen to. Let's see what we have. Let's see what happens on the at the end because that one has some 16th notes and stuff. So. Yeah, the only problem I encountered, the first violins have even minor and major thirds as a trill, while the second violins don't have that. So I had to outsource some of those trills in the score. The second violins have actually to the first violins, and that's why they run in this lane. So sometimes you got to be creative, or you have to load in another patch, right? But you can't just sample everything that's available out there. Otherwise, those libraries would get gigantic. The strings sound really nice in the legato. I think you need some tweaking. Yeah, so here, you can that emotion you get with the real players, you can hear it's not really there. So you might actually maybe layer over another library or get a real player with this. But in the blend altogether, I think it sounds really nice if I listen to the full orchestra, right? So all in all, I think out of the box, if you don't wanna load in 150 tracks and keep this, to a minimum, you can already do amazing stuff. I think some of the sections sound really, really, really nice. And of course, if you add a little more compression, and do things at the end on the mastering side, right? You might wanna increase the space or do your things you do as an engineer. You can achieve even more remarkable results. And I experimented with that by using a special plugin. Maybe you guys have it too, some of you. It's called the God Particle. And this is like a combined it's like a expander, compressor, EQ, whatever's in the hood makes it sound better, right? So when this was now lifting everything up, and let me turn this on so you can hear how this would sound if we have it like. In conclusion, if you are a previous owner of the Spitfire Symphony Orchestra, at least part of it, maybe the strings only or the brass or the woodwinds, I suggest the upgrade is worth it because again, the performance patch is a time saver. The microphone positions sound great. They did some cleanup. I think in general, you have a nice package here now and everything together. So everything kind of works and you could hear it. The blend is there. Nothing really sticks out unless you mix it wrong, right? So this is, I think, it's definitely a winner. And of course, if you don't have this library to begin with, Yeah, check out the others. I mean, BBC Symphony, the Abbey Road, right? They all have something else to offer. Mostly different sizes of groups and different halls. Again, Air Lyndhurst, beautiful sounding hall. So thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments what you think about the Rocketeer or any other James Horner scores you try to mock up. Any problems, anything. This is always good to learn. I love doing those things because you get to learn your libraries, right? You know what they can do, and then you can apply it to your jobs. There you go. So thanks for watching, and until next time, bye.